What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the best way without having to play against Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! While playing Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Stun, baby! We've been talking about a lot of the buyouts throughout the different market watches. Vanity's Fiend, I didn't even register Christia was for Modern, as well as people are peppering it in. Time-tearing Morganite had fallen out of favor. It was going down in price, and here, right before Nationals, it's doubled back up once again. It was down towards $360 here, and now it's towards almost $7, the lowest being $669. Nice. And then you see it's $7 after a couple playsets on the front page here. The secret rare going even further, it's $750 lowest, and it goes up towards almost $9 on the front page. You should completely expect and be prepared to face this at Nationals. You should not be blindsided at seeing success at the regional level. People are going to bring it to have less of a mental load while playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And be fresher in each round, and it may even top Vanity's Fiend. I would not be surprised to see it on up there on the national scale. So you should probably have versions of cards able to deal with that in your sideboard going into the event. Also, Succumbing Song Morganite has dipped down and then back up. Similarly, we're seeing it at $1.50, then $2 quickly here on the front page as well. I haven't said the word Tri-Brigade in probably half a year, and here's Fractal doing it big, going up in price, mainly for Lunalight, as I understand it, being able to Foolish Burial them and pop effects, that kind of stuff, but also for Yummy. There are variants able to go in and play with that. So with having dual different decks and only two printings that haven't seen a reprint since 2021 of a top meta contender back then, this deck is kind of an interesting one, or at least card and engine to mix in depending on which route you're going. But you can play it basically solo in Lunalight or mix in a little something else. Then we have Versus, which is one of the main decks people are expecting to be fighting against in the future here, and the collector rare for Vanquished Soul Raisin is really up, and then we also see that the secret rare and ultra rare are pushing back up once again and very low on quantities. This gets even better, of course, when you have K9 in the mix, which is around the corner, and that deck building pack is going to do a lot of lifting in Yu-Gi-Oh! DD Crow Quarter Century Secret Rare, I know we just brought this up recently, and it's something you need to be prepared for in the national season and going on. It is up even further. I just thought I'd note that its buyout is actually continuing on, and it's not just like a flashpoint, and we've seen that it's been trailing up consistently as well. Herald of the Orange Light Starlight Rare, this was one of my picks out of battles to do well for itself, and we can see here that it actually is trailing up. There is one under market before every copy is significantly over market into the 50s, starting at 53 about plus. So be aware that this card is one of the ones actually moving in the high end, and I wanted to cover within battles that the chibis, they're not doing too hot. Every version of Dark Paladin does pretty well for itself, and this would be underperformance in my opinion if the set itself, the boxes weren't going down, floundering, meaning the value inside is also floundering. The Blue Eyes is the main thing people are going for in this, and it's going to have trouble repopulating as well, as are all the Starlights. Look at the past battles and their QCRs, and I think we even have some of those to talk about maybe, but when it comes down to it, these will be probably the easiest to get early on, unless there's just zero demand for some of them. The chibis are getting largely ignored early. This was one of the hype things that people were discussing, and I'm seeing Reddit huge fans of them. Twitter's kind of mixed, and then the general money that is speaking on the market is saying we're kind of ignoring these. Gore's down under 30 when it's so popular for past format. The Skull Servant's right where I said it should be, around 2025. There it goes. And the Neos, I never bet against Max Rarity Hero. people are betting against it right now, and maybe they consider that art, not max rarity. Galaxy has so many fans, it's down in price. The honest double quantities of a lot of things being largely ignored. And like we talked about, the Junk Warrior, a lot of people were speculating on this early, especially after the other QCR buyout on the altar art. It is actually just the worst in the set. It's the Junk one, ironically. So far, Gear Free then are fighting for that bottom spot. And then the Chibi Blue Eyes here, again, has by far the most demand out of all the Chibis, because Blue Eyes collectors are their own breed. I knew it was going to be kind of controversial coming out the Chibis, because not everyone's going to be a huge fan of these altars, and they also made them available not Starlight locked, something a ton of people have begged for, but we can see the fallout here versus demand, how it actually is performing versus being locked up in that higher rarity. And I'll be the one to say it, I'm a huge advocate for stuff like this being the chase model, not our cards that are exclusive to the set that are chase pulls being the really hard to pull cards, but altar arts that serve no purpose other than being altar art. I would love for that model to be successful, but Konami needs to really choke out the quantities, and putting them in secrets, we can see the complete fallout and not value being added to the set besides the poster boy of Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes. Reinforcement of the army, quarter century secret rare, is going up pretty steadily, and this can have uses in past format, current formats, etc. And it makes a lot of sense to me, mainly because people used to be willing to spend $18 on the Speed Duel secret rare when it debuted. Granted, that was out of a $30 MSRP product that immediately doubled up in price and then went to 72 plus. This here just, again, makes a ton of sense. Iconic card to Yu-Gi-Oh! Huge utility. It just, yeah, again, I can only say makes sense so many times. Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Super rare is going up. We talked about BA getting a bit of new support in the other sets. Well, this old super rare was doing nothing but coming on down over time for the most part, and here it finally gets a small bump up back in price towards a whopping $4 from 3 some odd. Number 82 Heartland Draco is interesting. It only has 2 printings, one being an advent calendar. If I recall, this is the advent calendar that did go on clearance pretty big at Barnes & Noble, and then over time aged very well for itself. But both of these are going up slowly for past formats, and one's almost out of quantity, so it's definitely something to note. It's not the most prevalent game-winning crazy card, but it's one you want to have access to when playing past formats. And past formats are still moving cards. People are going for that OG text Goyo. A lot of people were like, money's gonna pump into the market for time travel over Time Wizard now, and it did start that way, but now we're seeing the QCR for this is going nothing but down, and the OG Ultra, even for its unlimited, is starting to climb right now, which is very interesting to me to see that counter movement where money is speaking into the market. Number 80 Rhapsody and Berserk. I'm not sure if this is also for modern since CD Crow is popping off. I would think it would be for past formats. It's a super rare that I do think makes the hat format, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I am. And this is up towards $8 now. I know we saw a lot of play in Necros format with this card. Then you have Dark Arm Dragon, quarter century secret rare, getting bought out again, or pushing quantities. It's always hard to tell with the battle set. Like I said, these are just easy to make disappear, and that's why the Starlights, it's one of the best times to get them out of battles right now. But the quarter century secret rare Dark Arm, iconic to the game. I know something about that era of Yu-Gi-Oh, don't I? The first Dragon Slayer out there. But all jokes aside, it's past the unlimited secret rare now pretty solidly. The Unlim secret floats around $90 lowest right now, and this is now pushing up past that pretty steadily, and has been for a little bit of time, but now it does so way more solidly. It's not anywhere close to the first edition. I think that's 225, and then the ultimate rare is winning way out in front, but both of these are down in time versus their COVID era prices. I think Dark Arm Dragon, you can play so many different versions. There's that Ghost that debuted, but you have to go find it in person to make sure it's good quality. You have another secret rare out of Kaiba collection, and that's kind of the unique thing about QCR. You know it's not going to get reprinted in QCR, and it stands the test of time. So having that unique rarity, a lot of people in the comment section argue, modern trash, go only first at OG, it could just be Starlighted, and I agree, it could be Starlighted, which is similar, but also at the same time, people are buying into this right now. Let me know your thoughts on that, because you know mine. I think that if it can be Starlight and it's QCR, it has a shaky future. But Secret Rare obviously can be a reprinted Secret Rare, and maybe that's why the Ultimate, in this case, where we see OTS take some dubs, is doing so much better than the other versions. And finally, in the previous Market Watch, I brought up anime fans buying cards on the market over time, which is why you can see a lot of traction for something like Malefic Stardust Dragon outside of past format play. And I wanted to put some proof in the pudding there. With YouTube, streaming is extremely interesting because if you don't relist the stream or do a couple of things, it can get stale. There's still 500 people here in the middle of a Monday morning at almost 4 p.m. Central just watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And guess what? There's even more on Twitch. It's like 660 plus right now on Twitch, separate from this. And then there's Pluto TV, etc. For a 25-year-old anime, because Pluto hasn't played 5Ds or GX in a while. I would like them to keep changing it up once in a while, because I use it as background noise for my dogs. This is just proof on how popular this entity is for people to want access to. And that does eventually lead, once in a while, to the casual having a nice collection to go with their anime cards. I wanted to put all that together basically to wrap up my thoughts from last time, because I know I got to it late, but casual doesn't mean broke, and anime fans are often building a small little collection on the side, and I do think that's important to note with certain cards. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed these conversations, and let me know what you think.